Hi, my name's Maureen Manson and I work in the HR service. The procedure that we have in Kirklees for dealing with any disputes, grievances raised by employees against other employees is called the dispute resolution procedure. So what can you do? Well, when an employee raises an issue, one of the things that's key is making sure that you spend the time listening to the person, making sure that you're not being disturbed so that you can really get to understand what impact they're saying a particular person's actions has on them. And only by doing that you first of all sort of even demonstrating that you're listening to the person. Another thing I would say is trying to help to manage those expectations in terms of what's a realistic outcome and talking to them about the dispute resolution procedure. Because one of the key principles is about working together to try and resolve disputes. It means that they'll have a part to play in that as well as you. And if they understand that, they understand it's not just a case of here it is, I've presented a problem, you solve it. No, we need to think about how we can work together to solve that. And whether or not it's what you can do in terms of a manager, in terms of trying to take that forward, or they can do in terms of, well, what would be the best sort of remedy for that? Could mediation work in those circumstances? Would it be best addressed as an individual if it's just a case of needing to resolve it, nip it in the bud, or highlight an issue that what somebody's done to another person has caused them to be upset in some way, or actually meant them felt that they were being undermined, or whatever it is in terms of the actions and behaviours that's caused an upset for the other person. It's about trying to work together to see, well, what would be the best way of trying to highlight the issue and resolve it so it doesn't happen again. From my experience, that's really what people are looking for. They're looking for an outcome where an issue is resolved and it doesn't happen again. Help manage those expectations. Make sure you provide a copy of the dispute resolution procedure. Make sure you've told them, well, what will you need to do next? If it means you're going to have to actually get some advice, or actually you're going to need to get the view from the other person as well, not just take on board their views, but the other side, to help you decide how best to take that forward, or whether or not you might need some further advice. One of the things that's really important as well is to make sure that you give feedback to the employee so that they know, what actions that you've taken, or that you're going to implement actions to make sure that it's resolved, and how they might play a part in that too. Because one of the things that you might have had to do is talk to the other person to get their point of view, and you might have had to consider whether mediation would have been a good way to seek to resolve an issue. So again, they may have a part to play in that. But as I say, one of the things that really surprises me sometimes is how many times I hear that an employee hasn't been given any feedback. So they don't know what's going on. They don't know whether or not it's been upheld or not upheld their concerns. And they've just been left to feel, okay, it might not be happening as such, but what if something happens again? What would I do then? It's really important to give feedback. I can't overemphasise that. So what else could you do? Well, you could make sure that you keep notes of the outcome so that you've got something that you can refer to. It might be that you keep them on the supervision notes, or there might be that things have had to be dealt with a little bit more formally, so there's a need to have an outcome letter from a meeting. But whatever you do, make sure that you keep some notes. So if I was going to give you some top tips on how you could demonstrate you've dealt with a grievance issue seriously and fairly, I'd say to you, think this was an issue, a concern. What have you done to aid that to resolve? What was the action? What was the impact, not just on them, but organisationally? And what's the desired outcome for them? And then make sure that you really listen and include the employee in trying to reach a preferable desired outcome.